How soon do you think we can colonize Mars? You're probably wrong. Probably by thousands of years, actually. Hear me out.
What's the situation on Mars?
There's actually no plan to colonize Mars. What there is 5 rough ideas standing on top of each other wearing a spacesuit.
Come on, brain, let's follow them.
Here's how they sell it.
Mars will be the greatest adventure ever in human history.
Multiplanetary species.
Humanity's future will be among the stars.
First we send people to Mars, then we build a base. The base grows into a city, the city becomes self-sustaining, and then we terraform the planet and humanity gets a backup Earth. It's so simple. Those sentences go so nicely together, they sound like a plan, but they're not. It's like saying a camping trip leads to founding Belgium. I think everybody wants the first footprint on Mars, but I'm more interested in the first poop. Because yeah, the footprint says we got there, but the first poop says a lot more about if we can stay. The first project is getting people there. We know where Mars is most of the time. We've landed robots there. We know the trip takes about 7 months and usual launch windows come roughly every 26 months. Because Mars has visiting hours. If anything critical breaks on the way there, mission control can't do much from Earth and roadside assistance is currently experiencing unusually high demand. The landing is horrible because the atmosphere is so thin that you can't use parachutes for a large vessel, but thick enough that you still need a heat shield. Because Mars is just a dick like that. But that's all recognizable engineering. We could send a small crew, keep them alive for a while and hopefully even bring them back. And I want us to do that. I want the science, I want the rocks, and I want the historic first video from Mars saying,
"I'm stepping down. The Wi-Fi sucks and Elon ate all the chocolate chip cookies."
But a mission is not a settlement. Reaching the summit of Everest didn't prove that we could move New Jersey there. Although I guess it would improve both places. Back to pooping. At least on Mars we're not dealing with zero gravity like on the way over. So the poop knows where to go, so it's nothing but a logistics problem. You bring a toilet and everything it needs, and then you manage the waste, and eventually the mission ends. It's a little bit nasty, but not a big deal.
Do not go in there. Woo!
Project 2 is a permanent base. And that really means keeping people alive in a place where going out for some fresh air is a spectacular misunderstanding of both fresh and air. The concept art shows glass domes, trees, and people strolling around, but real Mars architecture would be a lot less Apple Park and a lot more nuclear bunker designed by a submarine, because transparent domes don't protect you from radiation that well. The International Space Station has demonstrated recovering 98% of its water. And that's an amazing achievement, but that also means that when an astronaut drinks coffee, some of that coffee has had a more interesting career than the astronaut. On Mars there's no sewer, there's no river, there's no man with a van. If something breaks, you gotta call Earth and wait 40 minutes for someone to ask if you've tried turning life support off and on again. Hopefully you can find the right spare rubber O-ring before all the air leaks out through the toilet and save everybody from an embarrassing obituary. And then the colonist can finish his number 2 and the project number 2 survives. We can make some supplies locally. Moxie made 122 grams of oxygen from the Martian atmosphere. Excellent proof of concept. But a rocket carrying 4 people off Mars could need around 25 metric tons. Water ice is cool, pun intended, but it still has to be found, excavated and detoxified. Because everything in Mars is poison.
On a planet where nothing grows.
Saying Mars has water is like saying the North Sea has oil. It's true, but between noticing it and taking a bath in it lies a whole industrial economy. And don't take a bath in crude oil, you're not a Caribbean seagull. A supplied research base is still plausible, but a base is not a city. Project 3 is a society. People living their entire lives there, including noisy children running around all the sensitive equipment. Mars has 38% of Earth's gravity. And we don't know whether humans can develop normally in that. Astronauts get headaches because there's no gravity pulling the blood away from their heads. So how would we adapt to that over time, for example? Or less sunlight? Would they even still look human after a few generations? Or would they be like grey, lanky, big-headed weirdos who start time traveling to the 90s to cut up cows in Nebraska? By the time the base becomes a society, our guy's toilet has become a part of a sewage network. A real city needs pipes, pumps and treatment facilities and a guy you can call at 3 AM when everything goes wrong. Now the poop belongs to the government. Oh yes, government. People imagine Mars as an escape from regulation and government, but on Mars the penalty for ignoring a sign on a door is a quick but painful death. And a world where your employer can turn off the atmosphere wouldn't exactly abolish people from having power over you.
They're running out of air, sir.
The oxygen is dropping fast!
Sounds to me more like it'd be the most extreme company town ever. Forget the means of production. This is about the means of respiration, comrade. And if all of that was solved, and it very much isn't, we'd get to Project 4, independence. This is when the rubber O-ring from before becomes more important than a giant rocket. Because when the last Earth-made O-ring breaks, you have to make the replacement. You can't call Earth because this is supposed to be humanity's independent backup. Can Mars make the replacement? Produce the right kind of rubber, refine the chemicals, test the seal, manufacture the spare parts for the machines that make the spare parts? Suddenly, the space adventure is a procurement meeting, and our guy is still waiting outside of the toilet. People say we can just 3D print whatever we need, but a 3D printer needs feedstock, precision motors, and another printer for when the first printer decides to only make spaghetti. They are, after all, printers. A 3D printer is not a Star Trek replicator, it's a hot glue gun with more points of failure. A self-sustaining civilization needs thousands of boring industries that you never think about on Earth. Nobody puts a sewage treatment engineer in the trailer of the Mars movie, but that guy is doing more to keep the colony alive than the one slow motion running in a dust storm. Project 5 is terraforming. But before we get into all of that, please like, hype and subscribe if you're liking this video at all, because it makes such a huge difference for a small channel. There's also t-shirts below, just like this one. Anyway, so instead of keeping people inside a bunker, how about we rebuild the entire planet until the bunker is unnecessary? Easy, right? The Mars atmosphere is about 0.6% of Earth's, and vaporizing the frozen carbon dioxide at the poles with nuclear bombs, because of course we gotta nuke stuff, that might roughly double the pressure from about 0.6% to a whopping 1.2. One proposal involving continuously releasing specially engineered particles could warm up Mars by 30 degrees. I happen to have some experience in continuously releasing specially engineered particles, but my wife hates it. But warming up a planet at minus 65 degrees Celsius to minus 35 could absolutely transform Mars from a freezing planet we can't breathe on into a freezing planet we can't breathe on. A recent analysis estimated that producing an Earth-like oxygen pressure would require 800 trillion tons of oxygen. At the theoretical minimum, producing that would take roughly all the energy we can currently produce in 20,000 years. But totally worth it, because then you can poop outside. So to use Mars as a plan B, all we need is for a plan A to become a Kardashev Type 2 civilization and still need a plan B.
No, thank you.
If we actually had the technology to terraform another planet, preserving this one with it would be a piece of cake. If it takes 20,000 years worth of energy to produce just one part of a breathable Mars atmosphere, we could probably use that energy to fix the Earth, I don't know, like 20,000 times? What the billionaires are really selling is the idea that the speed with which they are ruining the Earth doesn't matter because they have a plan B, a planet B. But it's very important for everyone to understand that they, or we, absolutely don't. At every level, a real achievement is used as evidence for something it never demonstrated. They move from an accurate sentence to a much larger, inaccurate one with the same confidence. That's the same exact way bullshit supplements are sold to us. And this is where the sales pitch shows us giant rockets and glass domes. A billionaire can pose next to a rocket, but no one's ever looked visionary on a toilet. Case in point.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Just a research base on Mars would be amazing, even if it's supplied by Earth. A research base on Antarctica isn't a failed civilization because they import their O-rings. It succeeds by being a research base. Can't we just choose an honest and worthwhile goal without making it a salvation myth centered around a modern-day robber baron? Mars doesn't have to become Earth to be worth reaching. It only has to teach us stuff. Maybe it should be like they do with rescue dogs. Before we're allowed to adopt another planet, we should prove that we can keep one planet alive. Thank you for watching. A link to my stand-up special is in the description and on the card. It's just €5, so you can afford it. Until we meet again next week, please like, hype and subscribe. And here are some videos YouTube thinks are a good match for you.
Eventually, I'm gonna run out of food.
I did say people were gonna die.